about Sarpa Loka. You wrote about it. What was it like to meet the deputy chief of the Sarpa Loka? Tell us about Nagaraj, the reptile, the snake, the spiritually advanced being.
I think
of a
I have
different
written
planet.
about it in the book.
No, you wrote just a little bit. And my question for you is to shade in a little bit that must have stretched your credulity when you saw this
Of
unfold.
course.
And I would direct all of your people, all the people who are listening to this, to read every page of your book to absorb its meaning. But how did you withstand the mental test of not knowing if what you were watching was real or not when Sir Babaji
I
welcomed this man,
Yeah.
this being, this reptile, from not just another planet but a different galaxy.
I also know that this is one of the most difficult things to believe in the book. I know that.
You
And
said it.
deliberately I put it in, even though it is so difficult to believe, because I said, fine, I am going to say what I felt. They can take it or leave it.
And you know this happened for real for you.
Of course, for me it's very real, because you have no idea, for a young man of 20 in the middle of the forest in a Arundhati cave, suddenly face to face with something which looks like a snake but speaks like a, it's like a comic book.
They even hissed to one another.
Yes.
Guruji.
Yes. So,
Babaji.
yes, Maheshwarnath Babaji.
Yeah.
So, and afterwards I have learned that there are many worlds. It's a height of arrogance to think that in this little, in this whole stellar system of which we are just like a particle of earth, to say that life only exists in this little earth is, I think, a very arrogant attitude for human beings
Well,
to
that
take.
you conveyed that lesson very well. People have to deal with the vehicle in which the lesson is presented, the manifestation in which another being. We could far more readily perhaps say, okay, I understand how a being similar to us might come here, but the way you describe this being is what stretches the credulity for a lot of people. And I'm personally very happy you put it, because as a journalist, sometimes I have a quandary. Should I go into this area or not? But since you did it so bravely, I wanted to do it too, because it will cause people to come to a breaking
their
point.
barriers.
Yeah, to break through their barriers, or to back off and just stay in their own comfort zone. Yeah.
If they don't want. Because, you see, there are worlds where there are beings who don't look like us. And the Naga Loka is a world populated by highly evolved beings who are in the form of serpents. For me, it's not, I have no doubt.
No, you've seen it, so you have no doubt.
I have no doubt. Not only that, I haven't written about it, but later on I had 2 visitations to the Naga Loka. I have seen that it's populated.
So you've been there.
I went there.
That's not only, as I said, on another planet, it's in another
It's
galaxy.
another galaxy, it's another sphere.
And these
You
are
see,
highly evolved spiritual beings who
Yes.
can change their forms, which I'll get to later.
Yeah. But you can't go there with your physical body.
So you are teleported.
No.
Okay, what word would you use then?
You see, human beings have not only the physical body, but they also have a subtle body which fits into the physical.
Okay.
And looks very much like the physical, except a little more glorified than the physical. And it can, with proper training, leave the physical and travel. And most people, all people actually do that unconsciously in the night when they go to sleep. If you are clairvoyant by any chance, if you look in the night, on a clear night, you see little tiny threads coming out, lit threads coming out from every house and moving up somewhere.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That is...
I have imagined that happening, but with no basis of fact, because I'm not clairvoyant.
So you actually, these are we, meaning we who have left our bodies in deep sleep and are going to various places. But when you see a dream, it's usually a mixed up stuff that you have in your memory when you come back in.
Very hard to make sense of it or even recall it properly.
Yes, yes.
You said in your book, I believe you said it in your book, that you experienced ridicule about talking about
Experience?
the Sarpaloka, about the experience of Sarpaloka and Nagaraj. Did you experience it in a wholesale, unlimited amount, or just a tiny amount? And are you worried?
What is that?
Ridicule about including in your book your experiences with Nagaraj.
No, I personally thought that this is too much to believe, stretching things too far. But I said, let it be.
Name to call him that. Shirdi Sai Baba and your serpent-like teachers from a distant galaxy, Sarpaloka, Naga Loka, Nagaraj, if I'm saying any of those correctly. Are you the only person to have such experiences that you know of?
There must be many more people.
You're not aware of anybody
I'm
else?
not.
I've never heard of anybody else having these.
Maybe they're not talking about it. I don't think that I can't be an exception. It's not possible.
So you think there are others?
Huh?
You think there are others?
I am sure there are others. They may be unknown. I have a job, so I'm doing it, so I'm known. It's Babaji's problem. But I think there are many unknown. You know what? I have seen people who are not known anywhere in the outside world, who have no internet, who have nothing, who live quietly in a small remote village somewhere in the mountains. It need not necessarily be the Himalayas. They have a cow, they sell milk, they drink milk, they have a small plot of land, they eat the food. I've seen some people who have extraordinarily advanced and seen things which we cannot even imagine. Even I cannot imagine. So I'm not a great person. They're greater than me. But they're not known.
Well, you're now known.
Now I'm known. Yeah. But
Yes,
Naga Loka?
Naga Loka. Is there no conflict there? No, war
there is. There could
So
be,
these are the
but
higher
at a
beings.
different level. Yeah.
Right.
level.
Different types of.
In fact, Maheshwaranath Babaji told me that this man, or not this man, this being has come to resolve a conflict. He wanted some advice from me. So,
He came to this world
yeah.
to learn about how to
Yes.
resolve a conflict
Yes.
in his own world.
he said,
This
I
is the
need some
deputy-
advice, which means yogis who are still there in the physical body here, sometimes may be much more advanced than any intraterrestrial being.
This is what I mean. The details have so much information that you haven't shared with us in your book. The deputy
Trying
chief.
now as much as I can.
You mentioned the deputy chief whom you've met.
Now, the deputy chief comes to ask a human being, I mean a
Yeah.
person in a human body, human being.
And he
or
comes
not,
as
we don't know.
in a human body.
Yeah, and he wants to resolve a conflict there and seeks his advice. I mean, this is
Serious stuff.
serious stuff. And if you want to go back several years ago, when Shirdi Sai Baba left his body for 3 days and came back, and when they asked him, where were you? What were you doing? He said, in an interplanet, some other planet, there was some crisis and I just went to sort it out.
Well, might this have been Naga Loka?
Could be. He didn't say Naga Loka.
Okay. What does it look like there? Is there terrain? Are there buildings? Are there homes?
They don't need trains, they don't know. They have the places to live which are like, I mean, I won't go into more detail.
Did you find yourself becoming at ease with them, even though you were in your light body?
For the first time,
Subtle body?
For the first time, I was not at ease, and then I learned to come to terms.
Did they tell you what they knew about your home planet, about the Earth?
And now we are going into territory which I wouldn't want to
Okay,
tread.
we'll wait for the book to come out.
Okay. No, I might talk to you, but not now.
Do they walk among us today on this Earth?
The what?
Do they walk among us today in human form on this Earth?
Now, I'm a little careful about saying this because
Okay.
nowadays in the YouTube and internet, there's a lot of stuff which is like nonsense, you know. So I'm a little reluctant because, what is it called? Walk-ins. Walk-ins and so on, you know. So I don't want...
You're in the epicenter of Watkins Hollywood.
I know. So I have to be a little careful with what I'm saying. Somebody might say, the other day somebody asked me if I was a walk-in. I said, no, I'm fully in control of myself.
The fireball from the sky on the third night of our Dadi cave. I was woken up by what I at first thought was the rumbling of thunder. I opened my eyes and saw Babaji in his usual sitting posture, back towards me, silhouetted by the light of the duni. I looked beyond, and from between two parting clouds, emerged something that was roughly the size of a full moon, but could not be the moon. Instead of the cool, silvery, white light shed by the moon, this object was a glowing ball of fire, and as it moved closer the rumbling became louder. Then it came towards the cave and landed right on the duni, with the sound of a thunderclap. I was so scared that I could not even sit up, but Babaji sat upright like a statue, unaffected and unmoved. I wanted to call out to him, but my vocal cords refused to function. Somehow, I pulled myself up to a sitting position. My whole body trembled with fear. A strange spectacle unfolded before my astounded eyes. The rumbling had stopped and there was utter silence. The fireball, which was about 2 feet in diameter, split vertically into two, and out of it emerged something that caused goose pimples all over my body. It was a large snake, with a hood like a cobra, glowing electric blue, as if made of a transparent, violet, glass-like material, with electric filaments lit inside. The snake-like creature's eyes glowed, and it hissed softly. My fear vanished the moment I saw the creature bend down and touch Babaji's feet with his hood. Babaji blessed it by touching his head with his right hand, and then did something, which for a second, made me wonder if what I was seeing was a silly dream, or reality. He hissed in reply. The blue cobra straightened up and sat facing Babaji. A hissing conversation went on for quite some time. Then Babaji said, "Manu, come forward and see the deputy chief of the Serpent Loka." I moved forward and carefully sat behind Babaji. The snake hissed. Babaji said, "Bow down to Nagaraj." I bowed low before the snake. At close quarters, I could see that he was quite big and had intelligent sparkling eyes. The snake hissed and touched my head with his forked tongue. I found that I was not the least bit frightened, although I could feel a mild electric shock passing through my body. Then abruptly, it slithered back into the globe, the two halves of which clicked shut, and with a rumbling sound, the globe took off and soon vanished in the clouds. I could not but ask Babaji to explain. "Babaji," I said, "I deserve an explanation. If I said this to anybody, they would think I am utterly crazy, or that I am concocting some kind of fiction, so I shall keep this to myself. But please, explain to me." "Yes," Babaji said, "you are right. Not many will believe this experience of yours, but you will have to share it with the public when you write your autobiography. It does not matter who believes or does not, but I will explain to you. Truth is often stranger than fiction. In the Milky Way, there exists a stellar system with 7 planets and 18 moons. One of these planets is called Serpent Loka, and is entirely inhabited by highly evolved, hooded snakes. The serpents are called the Naga Beings. The person you saw is the deputy chief of this realm, and he is called Nagarja. The supreme head of the Nagas is the 5-hooded golden serpent, known in ancient Indian texts as Anantha. Thousands of years ago, when humanity was still in infant stages of mental evolution, there was regular contact with Serpent Loka. The wise and evolved Nagas frequented the earth, and spent long periods here, teaching and educating human beings. The snake worship you come across in all ancient civilizations is a tribute to the advanced Nagas of yore. Their images were venerated for the deep wisdom that they possessed. They also taught the secret of the Kundalini energy initially, again symbolized by a serpent. Patanjali, who gave the world the Ashtanga Yoga Sutras, was himself a Naga, and is depicted as half man and half snake. The snake on the pharaoh's head and the snake coiled around the yogi god Shiva are all symbolic representations of wisdom and power imparted to certain human beings by the Naga teachers. But then, as always seems to happen, human beings, as they became more powerful, began to also become more self-centered and cunning. Humans, or at least a majority of them, were ready to even kill for personal gain. Some felt threatened by the intellectually and spiritually superior Nagas, and forgetting their indebtedness, began to use the powers that they had acquired from the Nagas against them. At one point, there were large-scale massacres of the Nagas. The Supreme Naga Chief decided to recall the Nagas from Earth and cut all connections, except with some human beings who were highly evolved spiritually. Overnight, they were transported back to Serpent Loka. A small number of Nagas, who were either sick or too old, or in rare cases, rebels who defied the orders of the Supreme Chief thinking that they still could do something with the human beings, got left behind. The serpents and snakes that exist in the world today are the descendants of those who were left behind, and who, through years of inbreeding, have become retarded, and no longer possess the great qualities of their ancestors. However, as I told you, the channels of contact were kept open with highly evolved beings of the human race. When the great Sainath of Shirdi left his body for 3 days, and returned on the 4th day, to the great astonishment of the general public who had thought that he had died, he told his close circle of associates that he had gone to settle a dispute in some other world. The other world he spoke of was the Serpent Loka. The dispute, which I cannot reveal to you, was not completely settled and has come up again. Nagaraj here went to Kriya Guru for help, and on his suggestion, came to me to discuss the matter. Babaji, I said, all this sounds so bizarre, that if I ever wrote a biography, which I might do, at some point, since you say so, the readers would either dismiss it as the ravings of an unbalanced mind, or as pure fiction. I don't care. So let it be. Babaji laughed. I repeat again, he said, truth is stranger than fiction, and even if the story stimulates their imagination, there is hope that they might at some point realize that there are greater realms of consciousness which cannot be comprehended by dry logic and currently available levels of intelligence. However, by the time you attempt your biography, even the scientific world would have expanded its knowledge of outer space and other planets. The suspicion that life exists, or existed on other planets or stellar systems, will be strengthened by the discovery of water and other conditions suitable for the evolution and sustenance of life forms in hitherto unsuspected parts of the cosmos. Perhaps, some unprejudiced scientists might consider it worthwhile to at least give your story the attention it deserves. Beyond that, considering the stupid attitude of dismissing anything that does not fall under the category of established norms as unscientific, have no hope. Now, you must be tired. Go sleep.